Hi Stampers, it's Elizabeth from StampScrapandMore.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Canada. Thank you for joining me this evening. We are going to be making a shaker card and we're going to be using the Classic Cloche stamp set. It is more difficult to say the name of the stamp set, Classic Cloche, than it is to make this card, I promise you. Let's get started. So this is the stamp set, and I'm very OCD about stuff. My paper's not straight. There we go. Now it's straight. So this is the stamp set we're going to be playing with, and we're going to be using this stamp, this stamp, this stamp, and the warmth, joy, and happiness stamp. We are also going to be using this die for the stamp, for the card, I should say. We're going to be using, and I get the name wrong all the time, the foam adhesive strips. We need a piece of window sheet, and this is 3x3, but it's 3x3. It's overkill. You don't need that big of a piece, but that's what I had in my stash. We have basic white cardstock that is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. And we have, oh sorry, this is basic white thick. And we also have basic white thick for the layer, and it as well is a basic white thick, and it is for 4 by 5 1/4. So I like to use the basic white thick for the card layer as well, because we're going to be using the foam adhesive sheet, and you can actually see them a little bit underneath the when we adhere it underneath here. And if you use the regular basic white, it's really going to be noticeable. So I just like to have the card to have some stability. And then we're going to use colors. We're going to be using Real Red, Soft Seafoam, Mossy Meadow. And we're also going to be using the Subtle Shimmer Sequence. And unfortunately, these are on back order, but you know, here's a tip. If you have any of the snowflake sequence from last year, I have some in my stash and I might be using them for my Christmas cards this year. They would look really cute in this card. So if you have any of the snowflake sequence from last year, bring them out. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to start stamping on the top layer, which is at 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to start off with this image, and you know, I'm going to clean it up a little bit because I just did a Facebook Live and I was using the stamp set, so I wanted to make sure that these are clean and have good inkability. Is that the word? And I'm just going to clean this one off as well. Okay, so now I'm ready. So we're going to use this stamp, and it is sort of the outline of the trees and the houses, and we are going to be using Mossy Meadow. And I want this card. Did I show you the card by any chance? Oh, maybe I did not show you the card. I didn't show you the card. So here is the card that we're going to be making. And it's very simple, very elegant, very classic. The shaker gives it that little bit of pop, and I just love how it turned out. So we're going to ink up this image in the Mossy Meadow, and we're going to stamp it towards the bottom right hand corner, but not down too far because we're going to have the sentiment underneath. And oh, try to do it straight. Do all those things and breathe at the same time, right? Okay, very simple. And you know, I'm going to, while I have the Mossy Meadow out, I'm also going to stamp the sentiment. Not on that one because I stamped it on the back. And you know, all paper has two sides, but these are cards that I am actually going to be sending out for Christmas, so I wanted to make sure that I don't, that they're nice clean cards. So this is, I have a drawer full of these. Just, you know, when you cut the basic white, you mat it down and you have all these pieces left over. Well, I saved them and I use them for this type of thing. So warmth, joy, and happiness. And just like that. And I'm going to put that aside, and we're done with the Mossy Meadow. Did I ever tell you that Mossy Meadow is one of my favorite greens? I was really happy when it came back. Okay. And now we're going to take the next stamp, which is, my blocks are filthy. I say this every time, and I really do need to take the time and clean them. So we're going to take this stamp, and it's sort of going to pick up all of the outline of the trees, and it's going to ink up the trees and give the trees some color. And this is the soft seafoam. I'm going to ink it up. And I'm just going to match up the houses, the roof on all the houses and the church steeple, because it's not going to ink up those areas, the church the windows on the houses. That's the bonus of the photopolymer. And there we go. And it's just added that dimension of color to the image. Oh, there we go. And let me just bring this up to you, show you. Whoops. There we go. It's added that little bit of dimension. Okay. And then the last stamp we're going to bring out is this one. And it's the houses. It's the house fronts. And we're going to match up the roof line. We're going to match up the windows. And it's going to color all of the houses in a nice red. And matching up windows, doors, roof line, and pressing it down. Like seriously, that is how easy that card is. Isn't that sweet? Okay, so before I go any further, I'm going to die cut this out now. I know all that work, and we're going to die cut it out. So I'm going to take this shape, and it actually mimics the shape of the trees and the steeple. And I'm going to bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine up to my desk. I am also going to recommend, when you do this, that you use for the top plate a fairly clean plate, because we're going to run this through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And if your top plate is dirty, has a lot of shards on it or cuts, it will transfer onto the front of the card. And because the card is plain, you don't want those images to be on the card front. So this, I've got a fairly new stamp plate, and you can tell I was using the dies that had stars on them. And I'm just going to lay that down and run this through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay. Okay, I can put that back on the floor. I'm going to get rid of that as well. And I can get rid of that. Okay, so now I am going to also take my Wink of Stella, and I'm going to wink up the roof, the church steeple, maybe put a little bit of on the mound here, but just don't get the Wink of Stella into any of the ink, or that ink might transfer into the actual what you're coloring. So one of the cards I did, I actually touched the red, and I had like red roof lines, which I guess it wasn't a big deal, but I didn't want that. And I'm just going to touch. And then I'm also going to put a little bit of Wink Stella just down here on the mound and here, just to give it a little bit of glisten, and up in between the houses, like that. And I'll bring that up to you and show you what it looks like. There we go. And you know, you can see it if I turn it. There we go. You can see the shimmer. It's easier to see it in real life, depending on how the light catches it. Believe me, it's there. It's hard to see. Okay, so now I'm going to take my card front, and I'm going to take this is the front layer, and I'm going to dry fit this on here as to where I would want it to be, like that, leaving even space on all four corners. And I'm going to add some Tombow glue to the back here. And I'm going to make sure this hasn't moved, and I'm happy with the alignment, and I'm going to drop that into the negative space. And then hold it just so that it sets up for a few seconds, because you don't want it to shift. Okay, and now I'm going to set that aside. And now here is the front of the card. I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to take my piece of window sheet, and I'm going to lay it in here. You can see I told you I was overkill, and I'm going to put some Tombow glue on the edges here, like that. I missed some here. And this is going on the back side of the opening, like that. And I'm going to burnish that in or press that in really well. You don't want too much glue on there so that it splays underneath this element here, because you don't want glue on the window sheet. That's going to show through the shaker. And now I've got, and I keep saying the wrong name, keep calling it sticky strip, but it's not sticky strip. It is the foam adhesive strips. And I've done a few cards, so I know it takes one full sheet, one full row. So I'm going to add this to the bottom of the shape here. And I am actually going to cut it off. This is bendable, so if you wanted to, you could bend it up, but it kind of gets like a kink in the corner when you bend it up too much. So I just cut it off. But the trick to the shaker card is to make sure you butt up the edges so that there is no open gaps for the sequence to fall out. And just now, see, this is what I mean. It kind of like curves when you bend it. It kind of curves in, but it's okay here. So I've curved it up here, and I'm going to do another one on this side. And again, the trick here is to match the two ends up so that they match and they kind of seal so that there's no open gaps there. And that's it. But I find that the sticky strip is a little bit taller. Let me just put that down and measure. It's a little bit taller than regular dimensionals, I think. I'm opening up a new package of dimensionals so I can show you. So I don't know if you can see that. So it's a little bit taller than dimensionals. So what I like to do is take smaller pieces of the foam adhesive strip to put in the corners. And you can actually see the foam adhesive strips kind of through the basic white. And that's why I mentioned before that I like to use the thick basic white when I'm doing this, so that it's not as obvious when you are putting the card together. And I'm going to use the foam adhesive strips on all four corners. And you know, I might put one here or here. I might put one up here as well. Let me just do something here. See if I'm... No, I think I'm fine. I think I'm fine. Yeah, I'm not going to put, I just put them on four corners and then on here. Okay, so now I'm going to take my subtle shimmer sequence and I'm going to create a little puddle in here. I've got a little bit of dirt on there. I'm very fussy with my cards. Especially if I'm sending a card, I don't like to, if you make a boo, you flip it over and you use the other side. When I'm making cards that I'm sending to people, I don't like to do that. If I'm doing a sample card, I don't mind doing it, or if it's a card just for me to play around with, but not when I'm sending it to someone. I've got a big pile here in the middle. So I'm just putting a big pile of the sequence right in the middle of that image there. Okay, and now I'm going to take off all of the adhesive backings, and if everything works as it should, I'm going to line it up and it'll be perfect. Okay. And I'm going to line up sort of the bottom edge and make sure that it's even on the north, south, east, and west, because, you know, we've already dry fit it once, right? Now I'm matching up the church steeple. Like that. And seal those edges where the sequins are going to be able to roll around in. Isn't that cute? I love it. And then the last thing we're going to do is take the warmth, joy, and happiness, and I'm going to trim that down. And yeah, you know me, I love my dimensionals, right? And I'm going to add some regular dimensionals. I'm going to make sure you get one in the middle so it doesn't sag, like that. And then we're going to adhere it to the front of the card. And I'm just adhering it to the bottom here of this edge. And there goes my head again, like that. Okay, so what do you think, guys? Do you like that? I was so happy with how this card turned out that I was really happy. I contemplated putting a few like rhinestones or something here, but you know, I think that would take away from the card totally. So this is how the card is going to be. So, and then on the inside you can stamp. Oh, where did I put the stamps at? You can use it's the most wonderful time of the year. The magic of Christmas never ends. So you can use one of those sentiments. So I think I've made about a few of these cards now, so these might be going out to some special people. So thank you for joining me this evening for this impromptu tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to you again soon. Take care and happy stamping. Bye.